measures taken by the political movement MIRA in Colombia. Such measures have included the creation of closed lists in which women have occupied the first lines, the adoption of a legislative agenda to combat discrimination against women, and the inclusion of women at the highest levels of management within our political organization. Therefore, I will explain first the Colombian context, second, my experience as a man who promotes women's political leadership, and finally, I will expound upon some of the challenges still faced in increasing women's political participation. Meanwhile, I expound each aspect. I will explain its articulation with the Women's Political Rights Program Roadmap. First, Colombian context. During the past decade, Colombia has experienced periods of fluctuation in the participation of women in politics. In the last 2 years since the project by the NIMD and IDEA has been implemented, there has been an appreciable growth of women's political participation as illustrated by the Global Gender Gap Report 2015. In addition, the increasing presence of women serving in public positions in municipalities and departments has grown over the last 12 years. Although there have been advances, it is important to continue implementing the whole Women's Political Rights Program course of action. Second, my experience as a man who promotes women's political leadership. As a man, I recognize that the social and community leadership of women has contributed significantly in creating varied social structures. However, this potent force of women leaders is usually disconnected from the political sphere, and instead, men have used women's votes to solidify our own political power. I would like to highlight that our political organization has promoted the presence of women in politics through 3 groups of affirmative actions, which constitutes a plan of action on how to reform gender inequalities at system, actor and culture level commitment, as it is foreseen in the roadmap of the project carried out by IDEA and MIDM. These measures have included, first, the preponderant nomination of our candidates on a closed list system in which women are placed in the first lines of the list, which has made it possible for them to be elected in many instances. Second, the implementation of a programmatic agenda that has led the adoption of laws sponsored by MIRA, which promote the protection of women from discrimination. Third, the inclusion of women in high-level and decision-making positions within our political movement, which has promoted gender equality. Since 2000, MIRA has considered it essential to nominate women and to ensure their election. Social, cultural, and political barriers, however, have made achieving this end difficult. Gender quotas, while necessary, are insufficient themselves to achieve this end. Historically, men have enjoyed a leading role in the political sphere. Therefore, closed or restricted lists held by women and the zipper system are complementary tools that, in conjunction with gender quotas, can be effective in overcoming these barriers and ensure equal opportunities for women by applying the model transforming the elephant. For this reason, MIRA advocates for closed and blocked lists. Using the closed list system and allocating women to the highest position of the electoral list has increased the number of elected women. Moreover, MIRA has provided economic support to candidates in their electoral campaigns, most of which have been funded entirely by MIRA in order to build capacity and willingness, as stated on the last block of the roadmap for the WPR program. Thanks to all those measures, the proportion of women running as candidates from MIRA has never been less than 43%, and in 7 out of the 10 elections in which MIRA has participated, women candidates have exceeded 50% of the total candidates running. The nomination of women candidates from our political movement has led to a proportional or even higher participation of women in public offices. For example, from 2006 to 2014, the total number of women elected officers with the endorsement of MIRA was always above 50%. This confirms that women are not only eligible to run, but also to actually win elections when competing on equal footing with men. The second affirmative action implemented by MIRA was to put the protection of women against any discriminatory treatment on the legislative agenda by practicing what the roadmap of the Women's Political Rights program calls the adoption and enforcement of legal reforms, or taming the lion. Finally, the political movement MIRA has also promoted women's presence in high-level and decision-making positions within our political organization. Today, 70% of our national governing body is comprised of women. Also, we have a school of government in which more than 64.5% of the students are women. This is another way to show commitment and build capacity for female candidates. The work in promoting political participation of women has been evaluated with the support of the international community through the ranking of equality of women and men in political parties in Colombia. In both 2008 and 2016, MIRA was recognized as the top Colombian political organization that guarantees equality for men and women in politics. This means those that are related to generate information, involvement, and problematization. Even the ranking is a kind of external accountability mechanism to evaluate progress and effectiveness of reforms in terms of accountability as stated by the project. Third, I would like to highlight that the roadmap defined by the Women's Political Rights Program represents an effective framework for action. Therefore, this roadmap will enable the challenges already stated to be translated into legislative decisions. After the first 2 years of implementation of the project, it has contributed to the information involvement and implementation based on political party discourse, the baseline, and produces gender assessment reports, especially through its support to design and implementation of the evaluation entitled Ranking of Equality of Women and Men in Political Parties in Colombia. The program contributions are also evident in the purpose of generating commitment from political parties, in particular through workshops being done with the boards, directors of different organizations in order to establish improvement plans of women's political participation. Its contributions have an impact on Colombian political culture and certainly will affect aspects that still need to be strengthened, such as accountability of political participation financing and the women's capacity and willingness to get involved in public decision making. Thank you.